18 years old. Like what a future this kid's got in front of him. Like just, you know, double world champ, first pro event winner. Like he's going places, that kid.
Oh no, don't show it. My heart literally goes through the roof with his stuff, so I don't want to watch it.
So he called out the IPA and he said, "Let's go head to head. Ultimate Pool versus IPA. You get your best players, we'll get our best players. Let's put an event together and put on a showcase." Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This week on 8 Ball FM, we've got drama in the Ultimate Pool as the two top players battle it out for the number one ranking spot, and it goes right down to the wire. Ultimate Pool chairman Mark Quirk throws down a challenge to the IPA. Mark Allen wins the English Open, then rants about the snooker rankings. But is he right? Heyball continues its rise as we talk about the future of Q Sports. We review the Gippy Cup and finals in our local league as Mick Scerri and I go head to head. This video is a collaboration between the 8 Ball FM channel and Mick Scerri's 8 Ball Pool channel. Make sure you subscribe to both of them. And if you're interested in sponsoring us here on the fastest growing 8 Ball podcast, drop me an email at info@8ballfm. Let's get on with the show. Robert, how's your week? You're excited.
Day is it?
It's Thursday.
I'm trying to work out how long the week's been.
It's school holidays.
School holidays, yeah. Mucked around with the kids today, played a couple of games, did some stuff around the house, and then picked up a Chinese 8-ball cue because I got my 9-ball cue, but the rubber on the bottom, I remember my 9-ball cue was making a rattling sound, so I peeled this rubber thing off, and I didn't know how important it was, but now when I hold it, it digs into my hand. It's actually really annoying.
Oh, the wrap around the butt. Is that what you mean?
Nah, like the rub, when...
or like a rubber stopper literally on the bottom of the...
Yeah, like when you drop the cue. So I thought it was so it doesn't like smash on the ground, but it's if that rubber thing isn't there, the bottom of the cue is actually quite sharp.
Okay.
Really,
excuses already, Marty. You can hear it. Excuses are coming out.
So I picked up a Chinese 8-ball cue and had a hit with it for an hour.
Do you think this excites you a little bit, knowing the fact that it's a little bit unknown or obviously you're used to going in tournaments and you're sort of knowing your ability, you knowing what you can do on tables, but now you're going to a different sort of cue sport in a way. Do you think you might actually like it a little bit, trying to figure stuff out on the day, or you just might hate it? Like,
I don't know, and I think a part of me likes that I don't know. It's a big unknown. I'm hoping to play some international players, guys I've never seen, guys I don't know their names. I have no idea if they're good or not. And even when it'll be funny, even when I'm playing them, I won't even know if they're good or not because I don't know the game. Like I don't know their shot selection. Like if they're very aggressive, I won't know if they're very aggressive or if this is normal or if they're safe. I wouldn't even know what safe is. It's a tricky game.
All right, let's get into some stuff. A bit of everything this week. We've got a bit of Ultimate Pool, a bit of snooker, a bit of Heyball, a bit of local stuff. I don't know if you guys watched the Ultimate Pool much or not. A bit of drama. There was a bit of drama in Pro Series 6. So I don't know if you've been paying attention to the rankings, but basically Tom Cousins has dominated the rankings for a couple of years now. I think in Ultimate Pool has been number one. And declanbrennan has been chipping away. And in Pro Series 6, they both made the final. They're playing each other, and they were in a position where if Declan wins, he takes over the number one spot.
Wow.
It's a race to 8, timed matches as well, as you know. Declan was in front 7-6. Tom won. It goes to 7-all. There's a couple of minutes on the clock. Tom's break, he dry breaks, but it's messy. And then Declan goes for the out, gets stuck with 3 of his balls left on the table, and leaves a bit of a mess. And Tom has 58 seconds on the clock. Now I'm going to share it for you so you can have a look.
Yeah, I was seeing this. Can't believe the roof fell down.
All right, so this is I'll hit play in a second, but there's 58 seconds left on the clock. And Rob, I don't know if you've seen that. So Tom's on yellows. He's got 58 seconds left on the match clock to try and clear this frame.
Certainly gettable.
He has a swing at it here.
it's a free go because the yellows aren't in positions where he's going to miss.
Does the 8 go past the red? No. Does the 8 go past the red now?
Oh, what a result.
And
What
he's
a-
on the one at the top.
What a
40
result.
seconds. He has enough time. He has enough time here. Oh, he's in ideal position as well. It's absolutely perfect. 30 seconds.
Drop
4
this in.
shots.
Oh, no. Oh,
I was surprised he went this way, to be honest.
why
But
is he going this way? It's a weird,
but
that's a weird way to
he
go
lands
about it.
absolutely
What are we
bang on.
watching?
Oh, he's landed plumb. See,
This
if
is
that,
unreal. Look at Declan's face.
yeah,
He's even got
Well, that's
time
not a
to
good shot.
compose himself here.
14
What
seconds.
an out
yeah.
this will be. What a match this has been. He's even got time to chalk the cue. This 8-ball for another title for Top Cat. He has done it again. He has done it for a 13th time.
there you go.
Yeah, that was pretty good stuff with 58 seconds left on the clock. And to
Mm.
win the tournament, to retain his #1 ranking, great stuff. Hard to remember a finish better than that. Scary?
Well, I did 2 frames in a minute 24. He only did 1.
Does anyone remember this one? Just
Don't show it. My heart literally goes through the roof with this stuff. So I don't want to watch.
our viewers want to see it. So that was time with 58 seconds left. This is Mick Scerri with 41 seconds left to draw the match.
Look like.
I went the wrong balls too.
Oh my God, I love to see him get these. Oh, this is gettable. This is gettable. Take the reds. Take the reds. Oh, he's underhit it. He's underhit it. Nah, he's gone now.
Yeah, all over.
I thought he took the wrong red.
Oh, you know what?
Oh my God, he's still a chance. Got to play the double. Play the double. Play the double.
It's got 13 seconds.
Imagine if he gets this, seriously. He's got it. Oh! Oh my God! Oh my God! 2 seconds left.
2 seconds.
What an amazing clearance!
We have a red ball shootout. The crowd is mental.
Now, I don't care where you are, where you come from in the world, and how good you are at this game. If you do not appreciate that,
Amazing stuff. Do you remember that, Scary? Like do you just dream about
Yeah,
that
I do
sometimes?
remember it. And
Yeah.
thank you for that. I'm
Hey,
sweating
Marty.
now.
Yeah, he needed a few more minutes to calm down before the shootout.
Yeah, that's
Oh
right.
yeah, that
Bring
was the
heart
one
rate back
thing
down.
I remembered from that, and will always, obviously, if it was still around, I'd do it. But my heart was racing. I was full of adrenaline and everything, and then we went straight into a red ball shootout within a minute or so after that.
Mm.
I was gone, mentally gone, and I stuffed up the shootout like 23 seconds or 25 or something. I'm not sure. I think Stevie Woods actually got me by about a second.
Yeah.
But I wish I went to the toilet and just relaxed for a couple of minutes and then regrouped and then went back. So,
And we didn't
yeah,
show it, but for anyone who hasn't seen it, you actually had to rush through and out in the previous frame
that's right.
to get
Because
and I think
the timer never stopped. I had a minute 24 or something, missed the black or something like that, and I had to pot 2 or 3 reds and then the black, and then as
That's right.
Kira's
racking the balls as
Kira's
fast
racking
as
the
she
balls
can.
up, the time doesn't stop, and I just told her because it was ticking down 59, 58, 50. I said just pull the triangle up, let me hit the balls. I want to crack at this, and you can actually sort of see me jumping up and down, and then I say to her,
That's
it doesn't matter, just let me have a crack, and I've got to get a ball in, and yeah, it was crazy. It was the first tournament of the Pockets
First
Pro
event,
Series,
yeah.
and for that to happen for TV viewers and stuff, it was just crazy. And yeah, it was something that will stick with me forever. Just like I've got memories from that. Mark's got plenty of memories from it as well. And yeah, it was pretty crazy at the time.
Going back to the ultimate pool. So the other one I thought was really interesting this week was you might remember in the episode where we covered the world titles that a young bloke by the name of Jaden Billingham won the under-18 singles in the World Championships, and he also won the doubles in the World Championships, and he's become a pro in the Ultimate Pool Tour. And at 18 years old, he's just won his first professional event.
Good effort.
In the Ultimate Pool Tour. Yeah, won it in a 6-red shootout. A similar time to you actually, Scerri. He actually stuffed it up a bit, but then his opponent
I didn't
stuffed it up more. Well, you said you could have gotten a better time, right? So, but
No.
congratulations, Jaden. Like, that's massive. Like, 18 years
Yeah,
old. Like,
that's huge.
what a future this kid's got in front of him. Like, just
That was good.
you know, double world champ, first pro event winner. Like, he's going places. That kid.
It's good to
That's
see
sort
up
of-
and comings.
That's sort of like a Gareth Potts, how Gareth Potts sort of started. Just started winning world titles very young, straight into the seniors, and just there was no transition time. It was just straight into it.
I saw Simon Singleton won an event up there as well.
That's right. He was in the Challenger Series, so they have like, and I think he was a bit frustrated that he wasn't put up to. I think they have like the Pro Series, then Tier 1 and Tier 2, and I'm not sure which tier he was in, but he wanted to be in a higher tier. But you know, all you can do is when asked the question, just provide the answer. So he said, "Look, you put me in this tier, and I've won the event. It's bumped me up. But congratulations to you, Simon. Like,
Well done, Simon.
it's regardless, it's still massive to win one of those events. They're tough at every level. Hopefully you continue your success and you know, get the spot that you want to get. The other interesting thing in Ultimate Pool was, I don't know if you know who Mark Quirk is, but he's the founder of Ultimate Pool. Lee Kendall's the CEO. Mark Quirk's the chairman. He's a very successful businessman and poured a lot of money into creating Ultimate Pool. And he did an interview with Simon Webb recently where they talked a bit about the future of Ultimate Pool, but he did something really interesting where he called out the IPA. The IPA is the head body for Blackball. And you can think of Ultimate Pool as kind of a spin-off under the World 8-Ball Pool Federation for international rules. So he called out the IPA and he said, let's go head-to-head. Ultimate Pool versus IPA. You get your best players, we'll get our best players. Let's put an event together and put on a
What rules do they
showcase.
play?
Don't know. And I think they're going to try and figure it. Maybe they'll do half-half or something. But I thought that was really good that he's called them out and he said, let's get the best players in the world together.
Because he's got the best players.
Yeah.
Well, I think the IPA probably claim that they've got the best players, right? That's so he's like, let's put our money where our mouth is. You know?
Well, don't Ultimate Pool have? Well, they've got Tom Cousins and Declan Brennan.
Yeah.
Well, they're the two best players in the world right now, so they got the best two.
I don't disagree, but I think it's good. It's good for the sport that we see a bit of a clash of the codes.
Whoever loses has to give up their rule set, and we just go by the other one.
Like Goliath calling out David.
Maybe they'll play Heyball.
What rule is
Too
that?
hard. It's too hard.
Chinese 8-ball. It's got to be a small white, like no matter what. So that's anyway. Like, good on him for doing that. So yeah,
it's good.
Happy to fun, whatever works.
Always like a little bit of spice. It's good.
That's right. We love a bit of banter.
Mm.
So yeah, bring it on. All right, let's stuck over to the snooker. So the English Open has just finished, and Mark Allen has come away with the win. I think from memory, he played like every match he played was went hill, or he played 5 matches that went hill, something insane like that.
And he was often way behind, like 2-0, 3-0 down, 4-0 down, that sort of thing.
Right, making comebacks.
Good under pressure.
He was certainly behind in the final. Had to win the last 2 to get over the line.
I know. Another match he was 3-0 down. Another match he was 4-0 down. Like 3-0 down first to 4, 4-0 down first to 5. And then just things kind of happened. His opponents just didn't put him away. I watched a bit of it, and he just sort of kept hanging in there, you know, just not going away. And sometimes when you're 4-0 up first to 5, your opponent just kind of goes away. And
I think the final was race 8, but the early rounds were short races.
Yeah.
I believe Neil did Neil play the English Open? I think he did, but he was out in an early round.
Maybe last 16 or 15. So I think he lost to Jackson Page, maybe. Good young player.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. But, you know, like, it's funny, like, snooker's the highest skill cue sports we have, but even still, you need a little bit of luck and stuff. Like he was 8-7 down and snookered, and he's had to come out of the snooker off 2 rails and get a result, and he fluke snookered the other guy back. And the other guy only needed the red.
To be fair,
Yeah.
it was the other guy put him back in twice. He gave him 3 pings at it.
Yeah, it was the right shot though.
Yeah, so
Are we going to have another one of these debates, Marty? You're going to go to another 3-minute break.
One fight.
Yeah.
Anyway, congratulations to Mark Allen. But the interesting story here is he's won the English Open, pretty big event. He's won £100,000, and he's had a bit of a rant about the rankings. In particular, comparing his win to Neil's win in the Saudi Masters. So Neil won £500,000, so 5 times as much. And in the World Snooker Tour, prize money is ranking points. So Neil has got 5 times as many ranking points for winning the Saudi Masters as Mark did for winning the English Open. And he says he won 1 more match, so I presume that it must have been an extra round in there. And it turns out there's only one less frame. He won 32 frames. Neil won 33 frames to win the Saudi Masters, but he's got 100,000 ranking points instead of 500,000 ranking points. So, Robbo, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, probably a few things. I think he's very correct. I think so. But comparing frames and matches is not relevant. You could do that with any other sport, and you could look at some of those tennis tournaments where almost all of the pros play in them, but they're just shorter sets or the same amount of sets, and you get less ranking points as a Wimbledon or Australian Open and stuff. So that's not really anything. Are you saying that, from that point of view, from a money point of view, so Australian, he's won $200,000 and he's played 32 frames of pool. I haven't done the maths there, but he's getting paid a lot of money per frame of snooker. Sorry. So, and per ranking point or something. I think comparing matches or frames played or time played and all that, that's not relevant. All the tournaments are just the same, at least from my point of view. As soon as they finished one, it's like the next day later, they're starting another, and it's all the same players. They all play. It's basically the same format, and it's the same. It's just in a different location. So you can call these tournaments whatever you want. The English Open, the Masters. Oh, the Masters is different. The Welsh and all these things.
Yeah.
They're the same tournament. They're just at a different spot because it's got all the same players. So I think as far as the prize money for ranking points goes, I've never liked that. For the obvious reason is you could have someone who's consistently making quarters and semis, so doing very well, but it's all about tournament wins. God, so Neil won the Saudi and got £500,000 of ranking points.
Yeah.
So let's say this English Open, if it's £100,000 for the winner, it's probably £25,000 for semis, something like that, maybe 30.
Yep.
Call it 25. So that's 4. So you got to make 20, unless my maths is wrong off the top of my head, 24. I think it's 20.
20
So you gotta
to get the same as Neil.
20
Is that what you got?
semis.
Yeah.
So imagine making 20 semi-finalists or 1 win, and they're the same tournament. The Saudi tournament is just bigger because it has more prize money, not because of the players. Maybe Ronnie played in that, or someone else. Maybe 1 or 2 players in the top 16 played in the Saudi one instead of the English Open. I know Ronnie played in the English Open, he lost. So there you go, it's got the same players. I don't know why they use prize money. Maybe to
It's easier.
advertise. Look how much prize money these guys are making. Other than that, I don't see the point.
It's unusual. I can't think of another sport that uses prize money as a ranking system.
It's just weird. You should have world titles should be, let's say, 10,000 points, and then the European Open, is it? I can't even remember what it's called now. I think that's
UK.
UK, yeah. The UK is probably traditionally your second favorite. Maybe that should be 8,000 points, and maybe the Saudi one should be 8,000 points. and then a couple of the other ones maybe 6,000, and then some of the smaller ones maybe
It does all
4,000
seem very
points.
boring. Like when you're saying that, it does actually seem boring. Like talking about prize money and he's on 800,000, you know, for the first couple of months and whatever. That actually sounds interesting and gets people actually
Yeah.
not involved, but they understand it because it's money. It's
Yeah.
silly, but it's,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's, I think they've dumbed it down a little bit. I think
Yeah.
that's what it feels like.
Yeah, I can
I
see
think
that too.
when
Yeah.
the World Snooker Tour, like when it was mostly UK based and the World Snookers, like they were very kind of similar levels in prize money, but we've got a situation now where I think the Saudis want to make a big splash and make a big deal of trying to get things. So they've put out a tournament with a big prize money in it. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Chinese put out a big snooker tournament and said, there's £500,000 for this tournament as well, because they're trying to get some more interest in their region. And they're out of kilter with the other tournaments. So
But
I think that's the problem.
I think it's probably a small price to pay because Neil could have just as easily as won the English Open, and Mark Allen could have just as easily as won the Saudi. It just happened to be that way. And if Mark Allen won the Saudi, he'd be grinning. He wouldn't be complaining, you know.
Of course,
And
yeah.
Neil would be complaining, and instead of now Neil can, you know, pick and choose the tournaments the way he wants and stuff because he's got a lot of breathing room with the ranking points. But I do see it from a promoter's point of view. Let's say the three of us wanted to host a tournament in Australia, and we want to make it 600,000 to the winner because we want to be the biggest tournament that offers the most ranking points. And, you know, when I say it, you kind of deserve it. You know, if that Saudi tournament is willing to put up, it was probably maybe £1 million prize money overall, it probably deserves, you know, to have such a massive benefit of huge amount of ranking points. You know?
Maybe they just cap the money. Like Neil still gets his £500,000, but when it comes to rankings, maybe it's capped at 250 or whatever in the rankings. You know, maybe they can do it that way or something like that. So it's a little bit more fair. I mean, shouldn't the guys behind snooker pick the 8 or 9 tournaments a year that hold, you know, the ranking points, and then I don't know. I'd really like to ask them why, and see what they say.
I mean,
You know?
Neil, when we spoke to Neil, he commented that the players see kind of 3 tiers. There's the kind of the 4 majors, if you like, the Triple Crown events plus the Saudi. They're the top tier. Then there's another tier of tournaments, and then there's kind of home nation tournaments that are kind of lower value, but there's lots of them, right? So, and they're shorter races. So you could say, you know, pull out the world champs, then have the other majors as some level, and then the next tier, and then the next tier, and events within that tier should have the same ranking points, even if their prize money fluctuates a little
You
bit.
know, like, the more we're talking about this, the more I'm sort of leaning towards prize money actually being the ranking points. So imagine if you're a guy ranked 50 on the tour. You know that at any one of these key tournaments, if you get a result, if you do well, if you make a semis at the Saudi, as an example, that probably got £100,000, you're going to get elevated into the top 32. And that can happen at any one of these few key tournaments, which I think keeps it a bit spicy. You know what I mean? I think it actually makes it interesting. And also, the only people that might be really hard done by are the guys fighting maybe in the top 8, because they're the guys who are winning the tournaments. So someone like a Mark Allen and a Neil, both top 8 players, Neil's ranked 3, Mark Allen's 7. If they won tournaments the other way around, and it probably goes something more like that. But really, it's just a Mark Allen problem, you know, and he's just won 200 grand. You know, I
It's
do get what
designed
he's
to
saying.
bring, it's designed to bring the bottom up and just
Up.
mix everything up.
A
So,
chance, like
yeah.
you know, like these guys are playing in the UK Championship or the World Titles, and they're really on the cusp of losing their tour card, but they know if they maybe make a last 16 at the World Titles, like make a big run for it, they can keep their tour. But if you did it on ranking points, the points wouldn't be enough of an impact the ranking points system rewards guys who make constant quarterfinals and more.
Old school.
But the prize money system, you know what? I've got to admit, like I remember who won a tournament. It was a young guy, Jordan Brown. I think it was Jordan Brown. He beat Ronnie in a tournament,
Yeah.
and he won like £80,000 or something. And I remember actually looking to see where he went in the rankings, and he got like a big jump.
Massive jump.
I was
Yeah.
really happy for him. You know, I thought, well,
Yeah.
that's really going to help your career out, kind of thing. And
Went from like 60 to 25 or something like that.
Yeah, but, you know,
that's the kind of
and-
jump he could have had. Yeah.
he wins that, and now that pretty much guarantees him on the tour, you know, to hold his spot, sort of thing. So I think it keeps things interesting. I
Cutthroat.
think actually, yeah, it keeps it interesting.
It's certainly got us talking about it, right? So from a promoter's point of view, yeah.
I think from a promoter's point of view, it's better. It's the only downside is it sounds weird, but is when a top player competing for high rankings wins a lower prize money event and is annoyed that they don't get as much as someone else. So really,
We
it's
did
like,
it.
Like Mark.
Yeah, we did it in the Pocket series. So the rankings was all based on prize money. So
Yeah,
you
the-
got some
the first-
30,000, 20,000, 15,000.
But did the rankings get you anything?
got me a trophy.
There was no like invitational event that only the top
Oh, there
eight
was
got invited to
the
or something.
champion of
wasn't there, Mick?
there was a champion of champions, and everyone that won a tournament was allowed to play in it, except there was a slight rule change towards the end, and they threw a few of us out and brought in the next year players just to promote the tournament. It was actually, I think it was really bad. It was really
But-
bad.
But that was based on whether you'd won a tournament, not based on your ranking. Yeah.
No, it was the champion of champions. Yeah, it was.
That was on your
Fifty.
ranking.
Oh, it was on your ranking. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So a
Yep.
bit like the Masters in snooker, it's invitation based on the top ranked
Yes,
players.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
off
okay.
your ranking points. There
Okay.
was the first year of the Pro Series.
I mean, I like that idea, but it sounds like the execution in this case
Well,
might not have been
this-
so great.
This was the perfect example, and it went in my favor, not Justin Sage's favor. The first two events go by in the first year of the Pro Series. Woodsy beats Della, I think, in the first one, and the second one, God, who won that? Jesus, I don't know. Two people make the finals. Someone won it. I think Justin actually won that one. And so Woodsy won $6,000 for winning on the Saturday, and Justin won $3,000 for winning on the Sunday. And
It was 7
then
and 4.
7 and 4, was it? So
It was 7 and 4, and then it changed to 6 and something because I won 6.
Yeah. And then the event 3, so I went no good in the first two, but then I won event 3, and I think Justin won event 4. He'd won 2 events and I'd won 1, and I was only a little bit behind him in the prize money because I won on the Saturday. And then I also won event 5 and 7. So I won 3 Saturday events in a row.
So the odd numbered events were always more
Yeah.
money than the even numbered events. Because
So there was a period of event 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think there was a period of 6 tournaments where Justin and I won them all, except he kept winning on the Sunday or doing well on the Sunday, and I kept doing shit on the Sunday. I'd win the Saturday and then lose first round on the Sunday, but I'd done my damage on the Saturday. And then come the end, I think it was going into the last weekend, and we'd won the same amount of tournaments and basically the same amount of matches, but I was a fair bit ahead in the prize money rankings because I was just winning the correct ones. And then I think I won the last event to end that one as well to scoot ahead. But we won a similar amount of matches, but I just happened to win it at the right time. So I was happy about it, but he was complaining. And I was like, yeah,
Right.
Justin, I understand, buddy. It's a bit bad luck winning on the Sunday, isn't it? But really, I was giggling on the inside.
Sunday's a day of rest for Robbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone
What-
actually who won on the Saturday always just went shit on the Sunday. It just happened to everyone. Weird.
Exhausted.
Yeah,
I lost to
it's
Woodsy in the
meant-
final, and then lost to Woodsy in the first match on the Sunday.
Right.
So you're exhausted. If you sort of do well and make the final, even though you're only playing a few matches, you're playing against quality players, and it takes everything
Yeah.
out of you. It takes everything out of you to actually do well and win each. You know, the world class up to world class up to world class player. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It was exhausting.
and the fact was, it was exhausting for us too because we had to drive an hour home and then drive an hour back. You know, these other guys, they had it easy. They had it easy flying from interstate and having their hotels and all
I
this
actually
stuff.
started.
So
I actually started staying at a hotel. I got sick of the hour drive home.
yeah, me too. It was actually worth it.
Yeah. Small investment. You pay $200 or $300 for a hotel, and you're trying to win thousands. It makes you a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, and be a bit closer. Now, for anyone who's kind of interested, I saw this preview. I don't know if it's come up for you guys. Netflix have put out a documentary about Barry Hearn. Barry Hearn's the founder of Matchroom Sport, who's the promoter of snooker, and his son Eddie Hearn now runs it. I think he's the chairman and Eddie's the CEO or something like that. You know, they called it Matchroom, the Greatest Showman. He's a real character, Barry. Mark, I don't know if you've ever run into him or if Neil's had much to do with him, but like everything I see him about him, he's a crazy guy. Like he's really out there, and clearly had massive. He clearly has had massive success. So Matchroom covers a whole bunch of sports, boxing, darts, but they began with snooker. It was, was it Barry who signed Steve Davis back in the early days? Am I right in saying that? And that was the kind of first.
Yeah, he wanted Steve Davis to win everything. That was always good for him, and Steve Davis won a lot of things. So,
yeah, I remember seeing a clip on YouTube of Stephen Hendry having a chat with Barry Hearn, and Barry's talking about he sent Steve Davis to do an exhibition with Hendry when he was younger, and he said to Steve Davis, "You kicked that kid's ass." Like,
demoralize him. Yeah.
Demoralize him. Yeah. That's the kind of, crazy guy he is. You really want to push him into the ground. Anyway, I haven't watched it, but I might sit down one day and have a look at.
Yeah, I'll watch that. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but that sounds like a good one.
Let's jump over to Heyball. Robbo, I was chatting with Scerri just before he jumped on. Maybe this is confirmation bias because we started covering this a couple of episodes ago, but everywhere I look now, there's a Chinese 8-ball event going on.
Well, I spoke to Jake. Jake's been asking to have hits with me over the last year.
Yeah.
He's saying you really enjoy it, you'll love it, just try it, and I'm like, nah, can't be bothered. Anyway, so I finally contacted him and said, hey, let's have a hit, and he says, I would, but I'm off to Canberra or Sydney or whatever, playing one there, and then I'm off to, and then like coming back to Melbourne, and then he's going to Queensland or something, and then he's off to China, and like Jesus Christ, they're on everywhere. They're on everywhere. Yeah.
I think when we had Mick on, Mick was playing in a Division 1 tour event that had 700 players in China. Then they had a super tour, which was 64, I think, invitation only. I think Gareth Potts was in the last 16. I'm not sure if he's still going over there, but that's still on. They had the a Heyball Champion of Champions in Brisbane. I think they invited a bunch of people along to play that, some internationals, some Chinese players, some Australians. Carl Barrett made the top 16 and a bunch of other Aussies went over there. And Janssen defended his title there. I didn't even know that it had run last year, but he's won that. Then there's the Oceania Heyball running right now in Sydney, and they are down to about the last 32 right now. Vinny's still in, Kurt's still in, Justin's still in, Mikey's still in, Jake's still in. Like all those guys are up in Sydney right now.
Yeah, quality players, all guys who have won a lot of things. It's very important that. Like if you're playing in a cue sport and you're struggling to do well in that, and you think, I know I'm going to do the Chinese 8-ball, that'll be more my game. You're going to struggle if you haven't learned how to win. That's something that you really need, and the Chinese 8-ball is going to be the hardest one to win because you've got all the other cue sports. You've got the best of the best. You've got the best of the best of all the other cue sports, all flooding to it because that's where the money is, and that's where the future is. So
yeah, this one in Sydney, Jack Whelan is still in. He's one of the great English players.
Yeah, Jay, very, very good player. What a break. You've seen him break?
Arfan Dad is still in.
Arfan, yeah, I've had my
Yeah.
interesting conversations with Arfan.
So some great players.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like guys like Arfan, you know, he if I was to play him at 8-ball in a long race, there's every chance he goes in favourite to beat me. You know, so the guys like these that a lot of people haven't heard of are so good at the game, and they get it. You know, if you truly understand one cue sport, 9-ball snooker, 8-ball, whatever it is, if you really understand the art of the game, you can easily transfer those principles across
to Chinese, yes, yeah. And this
across,
one's on in Sydney.
anything.
Sydney now has $10,000 prize money. Sorry, $10,000 prize to the winner. The one in Melbourne that you're playing in, Mark, when is that? In a week or two?
Monday. So
This coming week?
Like in a few days, I think. I'm pretty
in a
sure.
few days. Then there's the Heyball World Championship in Brisbane in October, because I remember seeing Jake talk about Gareth coming over for that event in October. And I don't know if there's another one in Queensland. So it's just everywhere right now. Like all I see is Heyball, and there's some big prize money kicking around.
Yeah, I think if you're thinking about getting into it, I think you really got to get into it and start getting your, I don't know if they've got official world rankings and all these things, or just getting your name out there and all that. But you'd want to get your name out there, playing tournaments, show your support to it, build your rankings or your reputation. Don't act like a goose and an idiot. You know, be a good ambassador for your country. And I think you'll start getting invites. I think that'd be important, getting invited to these prestigious tournaments, you know, where they're selecting people. I think that's going to help a lot. Yeah.
Well, one thing that they're doing very well, I'll put this link in the show notes, but you can go to wpalive.tv. And for the ones that have been in China, they have been live streaming every table, Mick. Like just, they have a couple of TV tables that have got a nicer setup, and they commentate on at least one of them. But then the other tables you can just watch.
And they've got 500 iPhones. It's all all going.
All going.
But
They need a drone. They need a drone flying around as well.
I had a hit at Legends, and the whole vibe and everything's just all different down there. Like the tables, I didn't even know this. We pot all the balls, and I went to like grab my hand out of the pockets of the rails, but the rails go the whole way down the table and self-rack at the bottom end. So you lift up this tray and you just put it on the table. Like,
wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, this is unreal. You know, like just the conditions and the tables and the vibe and everything. It just seemed, you can just see the money that has been put into this. It's real big money. And then the thing is, on the 7-footers, we've all played it all our lives, and been like scraping loose change together to get tables reclothed, and you know, just balls with chips on them and just crappy conditions. You know, not anyone's fault, but that's just what we're used to. So all of a sudden, when you go in an environment that's so professional, it almost actually, you always feel like what's the catch? What's going on? What's the deal here? It's like, no, there's no deal. This cue sport actually just has money in it, like other sports do.
Yep.
It just has more. It has money like other sports do, and when we're actually not used to that, it almost seems weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking about going to play 9-ball, and you get there and you ask the chick, you know, well, can we play table 15? And she doesn't give you the ball. She goes over there and racks them up for you, and you know, prepares everything, wipes down the table, and then away you go. And if she's wandering around when you're finished, she'll rack the balls up for you, and just it's actually really, it makes you want to go down there and play.
Next level, yeah.
Well, when we were done, I went to set up the balls, because I looked on all the other tables and they were all racked with a white ball on it. And I liked that. It looked really good around the room. So I went to do that and Jamo was practicing next to me, and he says, no, leave them down, because they come over and brush and iron the table when you're done. Like, holy shit. Like, I don't
when
want to
you
name
finish
venues,
your session.
I don't want to name venues, but there's 8-ball venues in Melbourne. I've never seen a brush or iron, behind a table until you do it, and then there's a cloud of smoke of dust that just appears on the lamp, under the lamp. It's just different, just
Yeah,
different.
sometimes I feel like I need to bring a sand wedge, not a cue, to play
Yeah.
on some tables.
But
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, like if there's any young players coming through in Australia for Q Sports, there is absolutely a living to be made out of it, a genuine one too. If you can play multiple Q Sports, I think for the first time right now, it is a possible viable option, and I don't even think you'd have to leave the country. If we had someone right now, I don't think there is anyone quite good enough. Probably Justin and Jake would be the two. But if you had like a true superstar professional, like a gun, let's just say like if Gareth Potts lived down here, and if he just played in just the 8-ball and the Chinese 8-ball, and I'm tipping he'd be the best snooker player as well down here. He'd make a lot of money and do some coaching on the side, a few exhibitions and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if you make a couple of $100,000 and you'd never have to leave the country.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's certainly an option, and it's only growing as well. And not just Chinese 8-ball, but 7-footer world titles, like not world rules, international rules.
Internationals, yeah.
We've got tournaments on all the time, and they're growing in prize money and Calcuttas and stuff. If you want to make your real big money, buy yourself in these Calcuttas and win the tournaments, and you're winning tens and tens of thousands.
I feel
It's
like
good.
every Q sport's actually doing well except snooker. I feel like snooker's
Except snooker, yeah.
disappearing, and I'm looking at stuff online, and like, obviously the usual people win it, and I don't even know the tournament's on, and they're all dressed up fancy, and they've got their 30 people in the crowd watching, and it's just all, I don't know. I feel like snooker needs a bit of a revamp with a few things, and I think it's lacking a little bit right now. I think Q Sports is very healthy around the world and in Australia. 8-ball and all that, it's amazing, but I think snooker's falling behind a little
Stale.
bit somewhere.
It's just
Stale,
stale.
yeah.
I think snooker suffered a lot with the pokies in Victoria in particular. I don't know if that's true interstate, but like when the RSL started getting rid of snooker tables and putting in poker machines, because that was where a lot of snooker used to happen, is through the leagues happen through the RSLs, and then big tournaments would be at the snooker halls. Rent just got expensive for those places. So you've got, for such a big area that a snooker table takes up, you can put in a couple of pool tables and make, 1.5, 2 times the money. It's just becomes a difficult business to keep up.
I remember years ago I was passing through Yarraville and with work, and Mick happened to be playing in one of the tournaments there at, I think, Chris Christophe's venue. Or maybe not his venue. Anyway, I think he was
At the
sponsoring the
Yarraville Club?
tournament.
Yeah, Revington.
Revington, yeah.
Yeah.
And I went down there. I've not been to a snooker tournament for 10 years, and I thought I was passing by, and I thought, hey, I'll pop in and have a look. And I'm used to 8-ball tournaments. You go in and you talk, and so I go in there, and I just started talking to people, and people were like shushing me, and I realized I was like the only one talking. I was like, oh, and everyone's in the bow ties and this and shirts and all that, and no one's talking, and you had to go outside to have a conversation. And I'm thinking, like, it's all just the same people. But like, here's the problem: if you were to take a 12-year-old a 12-year-old kid in there, none of them would want to do that. Not allowed to talk. They're all in penguin suits. Like I did it too, but no kids aspire to be that. If it had a little bit more vibe to it, wear like golf shirts or something, tucked in golf shirts, black slacks and shoes. That looks really good. I think it needs to change more to that.
Yeah, 100%. Here's the thing: if you got a snooker table and then got a bunch of us playing, even for a tournament or money or whatever, if you had 20 people around quiet, fair enough. But if you had 20 people around opening up chips and having a laugh and having a drink and whatever, that's okay too, because everyone's doing it. And then we're used to that. We're used to it because we're 8-ball players. I can play snooker and there can be people talking and whatever. It doesn't actually affect me. But when you start playing snooker on a Wednesday night or whatever, people are just, I've gone and opened a bag of chips and put one chip in my mouth and gone crunch. And then I get like death stares. I'm like, oh, So
Yeah.
I have to put the chip in my mouth, wait for the saliva to soak it down, so then I can break the. I've done this, and then break the chip. I'm drooling just thinking about it. Break the chip up in my mouth so it sort of floats around, and then I can basically swallow the chip. And and that's how I eat my chips when I'm playing snooker. So it takes a while to finish the bag, but it's a fine art. You actually you build up the saliva before you put the chip in.
I'm laughing because I know the feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus Christ. You know, so it just shouldn't be like that. It just shouldn't be like that. Yeah.
It needs a change. It does need a change. I think if they ran a tournament and people are just allowed to walk in and go, "Hey, fuckers," I
Yeah.
think people would be okay with it. Yeah, yeah, and like I think if you had a bit of a change, I think it would be good. I think obviously there's people out there that need to embrace it a bit, but you know they
Bit
know
of
what they're in
banter.
for at the
I like a bit
start.
of banter.
Obviously, do it respectfully. Don't do it not respectfully. You know, but you know, I've got guys on my side. I'm not going to mention names, and you know they can call people funny names and stuff like that, and we have a bit of a laugh. But you know, it's just fun. It needs to be fun again, and I think people will enjoy snooker more. And you know, I do like the game. I really do, and I do want to play it. So
Two other things that I think snooker suffers from. I play in a B grade snooker league, and I see situations where umpires will call foul and I miss 5 or 6 times in a row, and I'm just like, guys, we're not playing for sheep stations.
Yeah.
You know, this is not the top, you know, division in the country.
Yeah. I'm trying
Call
to
miss
hit
a
it.
couple of times. Call miss a couple of times, and then you know, then just let it go.
maybe the
Yeah.
foul there should be no foul miss rule, but you're allowed to have 3 attempts. But instead of losing 4 points, 4 points, 4 points, it should be 4, 8, and then maybe 16 points. You know, then
But there's
and
just
then
you
it
just
cuts
got
off. Then it cuts
at
off
some
at
point
3.
you just stop. Yeah.
But I suppose the problem is then in those lower divisions, you could give them ball in hand, and then the other guy's still going to get back to the table within 2 visits anyway, most of the time. So
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And the other one is I played in a handicap RSL league with a bunch of retirees, basically, you know, 70s, 80-year-olds, and they get grumpy about that. They'll be playing a shot, and the other guy will just kind of walk, you know, just off in their peripheral vision, will just take a couple of steps sideways, and they'll get grumpy about people moving around. And I'm like, same thing, like just
Yeah. They've got to just got to chill, just got to relax a bit. I don't know if young people have the patience for snooker these days. You know, so you get all right, little Johnny, this is a snooker table. If you practice for 75,000 hours, you might be able to make a 50 break. Like it's pretty hard. And then if you're good enough, which only 2 people from Australia have ever been good enough.
have ever been.
Probably 3 or 4 have ever been good enough, then that's it. You know, you like guys like, you know, Kurt and Vinny, Ryan, these guys, they're very good players. I practiced with Vinny over in England, and he almost made as many centuries as Neil and Joe Perry did. He was unreal on the practice table. So good. But hardly win a match on the tour. And these guys are multiple Australian champions. Steve Misford, all of them. They couldn't win a match overseas, but they dominate over here. So people coming up who may be 16 years old, who are pretty handy at the game, get destroyed by Steve Misford, and they found out that these guys can hardly win a match over, don't even get close to holding their tour card spot, let alone make any money. You know, it's not very inspiring to go over there. You know, it's a struggle. I wouldn't want to do it.
On another note, I just want to say congrats to everyone. We're just about to hit 2,000 subs, I see. So channel's coming along very, very nicely. And for all those that have supporting us and clicking that subscribe button, I really do appreciate it. So there's more to come.
It's very helpful, yes. And we had a couple of big names, and we delivered on that as we promised we would. And we will keep looking for the big interviews. I think people like the interviews. We'll try and do a roundup of all of the content that's going on. But yeah, thanks everyone for subscribing. Nice to get probably by the time this goes live, we'll have crossed 2,000.
Yeah. And
yeah,
on another note too, we just had the Gippy Cup run by Ash Voigt up down in Sale. So that had 77 teams. 600 plus players down there. And I took some drone footage, and I think if you jump on my Facebook or whatever, or my YouTube, you'll be able to see it. It's absolutely brilliant. Well run. There was 4 divisions, and there was an absolute bucket load of teams as well. It was absolutely crazy. The whole venue was packed every day. It was amazing. The food was great. All the volunteers, the staff, the perfect, well-run tournament. And I just got to
What was
say,
it? It was a massive, like an exhibition hall or something.
Yeah, it's like a big exhibition, like basketball stadium. They had all the tables set out beautifully. You had seating. You had the bar at one end. It was brilliant. And then there was literally 800 meters down the road, there was a place called, I think, Legends or something, a pub. We went down and watched the semi-finals or whatever of the football, and had a meal, and they had the pokies and stuff down there or whatever. But it was just a perfect weekend, and it was such a well-run tournament. One of the biggest comps going around at the moment, and coming up apparently at the end of the year. I don't know too much about it, but there's an $84,000 prize pool. Pretty sure it's a singles event, so stay tuned for that, and we'll know more when Ash updates us with that. So yeah.
So we don't have a
Tune in.
date yet, but are we talking
Not
this
yet.
year?
I don't know yet. It
Yeah,
could be at the end of the year. So they're just
Oh,
there's
that'd be good.
there's some big things behind it. So they're still just getting it all together. But yeah, stay tuned for that.
It's the same crew. There's that Ash and his crew
Yeah.
that are putting
yeah.
this together as well. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he's done a great job with the Gippy Cup. So Ash, we're looking forward to this one, and well
And all
done
the
on
pool
the Gippy Cup.
players, all the pool players are supporting him by getting down there. JR had a bunch of his tables down there as well, all-star pool tables, and they were all brilliant. I can't wait to get mine. Everyone that I spoke to about the tables, there wasn't any rolls, or the tables were all just in mint condition. Just wherever you looked around the room, they look perfect. So, and they played perfect. So it was an unbelievable weekend. So well
Yeah, I'll put a
done.
link to that little video that you did in the show notes for everyone as well. So yes, Scerri. It looks like you had your drone kind of fly. It was so
I
big
took,
you could fly the drone through
I-
the venue.
Well, not, you know what? About 80% of the people didn't even know it was flying at the time. So
Right.
I took the drone off, had it about 1.5 meters, 2 meters up, so obviously wouldn't hit anyone in the head, and then just
Yeah.
flew it across the venue and around, and then flew it back to me and landed it. And yeah, I had it hovering over some tables while people were playing shots, and I didn't want to keep it out there too long to basically piss anyone off, but everyone liked it and wanted me to do it again. But I just did it the once to get some footage. And yeah, I'll do more next time I go to these places. If the venue probably won't allow it, but if the people are happy for me to do it, I can take some more footage of other venues and promote them like I did with the Gippy Cup. So yeah,
Yeah,
good
and
fun.
we'll try and do a bit of that as we get around to places as well. Get some candid shots, maybe of Robbo in Melbourne at the Heyball. But yeah, if we get along, we'll try and get some candid shots. It's good to be able to see those things live and what they look like. And how did you go, Scerri? How did you go in the Gippy Cup?
We lost. My team finished first. We lost our first match, and then we won our next 11. And we had 2 chances on the Sunday to get into the grand final, and we lost to Pool Hub. So therefore, we had a second chance. So we played Pikey's side, which was Rack 'em Up, and we had another chance to get into the final. We lost to them. So Pool Hub versus Rack 'em Up in the final, and Pool Hub actually lost for the last 3 years running, I believe, in the grand final, and they beat Rack 'em
Right.
Up this time. So congratulations to Pool Hub, Dakota, and Hammer and all that. So they did a
Finally
good
got
job.
the chocolates. Well done, boys. Yeah.
Took home the trophy. Chuka actually potted the winning black, Travis Martin.
Well done, Sugar. Yeah. Robbo, I thought Scerri was being a little bit kind to not mention that Sandown Park got beat on Tuesday night pretty handsomely.
It's a long
I said they're going to
podcast.
go out in straight
There's
sets.
plenty of time. He was saving the juicy info for last.
But now
Yeah.
I realize he's going to have like less than 24 hours to practice before the match next week.
No, I've been going to Timmy's a couple of times. He's got a brand new JR table, and the ones that we played on the Gippy Cup, which
Yeah.
they all ran fantastic, absolutely unreal. And you can ask anyone. I'm not just saying that, but you can ask anyone that was there how the table conditions were, and I promise you, they'll all say 100%. So yeah, it was awesome.
Now I wasn't there on Tuesday night, but
We were.
Like it wouldn't have made a difference. Like that, they were congratulations to Gus and his team. They played too well. Like it was.
Did you want the
But-
truth about this, or do you want the fake
you-
truth about
We
how
only
the
talk the
night
truth
went?
here, Mick. We only
Nah.
talk the truth. Go on.
Give it to me,
Nah.
however you like.
I've only got
Like
a
I
coffee.
said-
I don't have a beer. Give me a few beers, and I'll tell you the truth.
I don't need a beer.
No, I said give me a few beers.
Yeah.
No, it's we got there, and it was interesting.
Oh, I didn't realize you were that. You saw it live.
Mark and I went down there to see obviously support Gus and just watch in general, and
Yeah.
also Brandon, Mark's the guy that works for Mark, also had finals on that night down at Stand Down.
Yeah.
So we wanted to sort of go watch both, and we rocked up to watch Bowen's side, the side versus Gus's side. It wasn't pretty. The guys from, I think, that had been away at the world titles and stuff, they've come back, and
They did adapt,
maybe
yeah.
they looked a little bit burnt out a bit, maybe, I'm not sure, or exhausted. I want to give them some excuses because they're all brilliant players.
Sure.
At the end of the day, it wasn't pretty. I think everyone was just sort of making mistakes here or there, and people are just, I think Gus's side just capitalised on a lot of the mistakes a lot earlier and a lot
That's
better.
true, yeah.
They were 6-1 up, Gus's side, and they could have gone 9-1 up when we got there. They let a few go, and Rob Bowen's side got a few back. Gus's side literally just walked away with it. So
Yeah, I think they won the first round 5-1 with 2 reverse masters. That's 2, like twice we broke and they reverse mastered in the opening round. So that's a fantastic start. That's just credit to them. Like there's no luck or anything in that. And then they win a couple of other frames, so they win 5-1. And I think they
we
won
play
the
them
4th round 6-0 or something. But yeah.
Yeah, we play them now next week, and it's going to be interesting. I did say they're going to go out in straight sets, so I'll hold myself to that word.
Well, I'll be
But,
back. I'll be there, and you'll be there, Scerri. So let's get
We'll be
it on.
there. My team's preparing. I've getting photos coming through right now of them all practicing doing drills, and
Yeah.
they're
we got all of that.
watching. They're watching positive stuff. They're all over it. They're we're coming for you, Sandown. So
And
know,
we're
Freak
ready.
up,
We're
freak
ready
up.
to take it.
You know what I noticed when I was watching the Prems final? Well, we watched the 3rd division grand final and the Prems semi-final, and there wasn't much standard difference between them, to be honest.
No,
The thing that I
So
noticed,
there were 6 masters in our final. So I don't know if that happened in the Divi 3 final or not.
well, there was probably just as many balls missed. The that's what I looked for, Marty. People, what it showed to me was a lack of really ingrained 8-ball theory and philosophy. Because these guys were playing, I know how they normally play, and their shot selection is normally decent. That went out the window. Players were playing.
I think that's fair feedback. Yeah.
Players were playing,
Finals does funny
and
things. to people.
I'm talking about state level and above players here. Half the shots they were playing were wrong. Too aggressive or too safe. The defensive safeties were. Mick and I were just scratching our heads going, the shot he's just played is irrelevant there. Like, I'm talking I don't want to name names, very smart players.
I would like,
you know,
yeah.
like, pretty bad. It just goes to show, like when you watch, like, top-level snooker or something, whether it be just a qualifying match for a tournament or 9-all first to 10 in a grand final, their shot selection doesn't change. They are disciplined and they play the right shots all the time. And even when you watch the top English guys play in the ultimate pool, it doesn't change. Where here, man, I don't know, it was just finals brain fade or something. I don't know, it just felt like people were looking for the easy way out in a lot of frames as well. So yeah. It would have been good if it was streamed. I really don't understand why this stuff isn't streamed. Was it streamed?
It was streamed, yeah.
Oh, no, I
Yeah.
didn't even know.
It wasn't just like
Just someone's like phone
Lee
set up.
Gilpin just put it on his personal stream on a phone.
Okay.
Yeah. And cheers to Lee as well. He's down there all the time doing that. And the EDPL,
Yeah, correct.
DDPL should be doing this. Like,
Yeah, I don't know why
put a
they
couple
leave
of
it up.
phones up, buy a GoPro or something. It's
Yeah.
not hard. It is not hard at all.
Yeah.
I
That's
think our
pretty
match next
disappointing.
week will be streamed, Mick. Was it when you watched the Div3 match, was that a grand final?
Yeah.
I think what they were doing was doing the streaming for the grand finals, but now that they're all done, they'll
Yeah, but
stream the
like they could
remaining
stream.
prems.
Honestly, they could stream every week if they wanted to. Like, look what we're doing now.
Understand, yeah.
Takes 2
Yep.
seconds. Mark set up at 7:59 and was ready at 8:01. So
Yeah.
it's not hard. It is not hard at all. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I agree. Good feedback for the league for future. All right. Let's cover this again next. One of us is going to be gloating next episode. We'll see how we
Well,
go.
Not
look,
you, Marty.
Which team?
I got
Look,
Mick's team probably like -3.5. That's the line. I think they're strong favourites actually.
Wow.
So
I'll
that's
stay
my
out of
tip.
it because I'm going to be a player out there and I'm going to be nervous as well. So I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not saying that I'm going to be perfect out there, but I'm going to be ready just like the rest of my team. So
I saw Mick and Jack play finals last year and they were exceptional. Timmy is always amazing in finals. He's one of the rare players that actually always gets better in finals compared to the home and away season. He's just a finals player. And I think the bottom end of Mick's team as well, they've got some for the low point players, they're very capable of winning frames. I think a big part of it probably come down to Thorpe again. He's the kind of guy who could get none or could get 6. He is a key player, but I think Jack, Mick, and Timmy are going to do some big damage. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
Well, we'll be ready, Scerri. So let's get it on.
good luck.
You too, mate. Yeah, and that's it from me this week as well. Like, any final thoughts from you boys?
No,
No?
good. Can't wait till Tuesday.
Can't wait till Tuesday. Well, good luck anyway, Robbo and Scerri. Enjoy your fishing. I'll be practicing, and I'll see you Tuesday.
Get nibs.